Hello, universe. Hello, fact-checking community. Welcome back to Global Fact 7. I'm Cristina Tardáguila, the Associate Director of the IFCN, and this panel is about the CoronaVirusFacts Alliance, which I had the pleasure to be the coordinator. So today, we are having the chance to share with you the backstage of this great project. And I have to start this talk by sharing a few numbers and a few achievements that have been around for the last 5 months. I know the pandemic has been around for longer than that. We feel this way. But I want to tell you that in 2 days, we will get 5 months anniversary of the Alliance. And we so far have reached on the database that is up and running at the Pointer website, more than 1 million page views. We have managed to create 3 public databases, one in English, as I said, one in Spanish, one in Portuguese, that is open and can be searched, filtered by anyone in the planet. We have created 3 WhatsApp chatbots that are currently running in English and Spanish and Hindi, thanks to our partners that have helped us doing that. We have also developed infographics that are beautifully being updated every day on Pointer website. And please, if you haven't played with it, just go right now and give a look. And right now we are 99 organizations across the globe fighting hoaxes about COVID-19. When I say 99 organizations, picture the number of people and the amount of time that we have all spent trying to fight infodemic, trying to fight falsehoods regarding this terrible disease that is killing millions of people. And I want to thank all the people that have been spending time with me, Jules, Babers, Ferdy, and Harrison on this. And I mean each one of the fact checkers that have been involved in this project. All the 99 organizations that have put people and their hands-on, designers, social media strategists, anyone. And I also want to thank Facebook, WhatsApp, and Shuttleworth Foundation that has put even money to help us make this alliance even bigger and more important. I want to make a personal note that after being the coordinator of this project, I have come to realize that collaboration is by far the most important tool to fight misinformation, that no law or regulation will be strong and good enough, that collaboration is the key to win this battle against hoaxes and falsehoods. Well, but to tell you all about the CoronaVirusFacts Alliance, I have with me 4 of the most important people of this collaboration. I have a great friend of mine, Summer Chen from Taiwan. She is the editor-in-chief of Taiwan FactCheck Center, and she was at the beginning of the creation of the collaboration project. I also have Grégoire Lemarchand from AFP, who has been helping the Alliance to be as big as it is now. With the collaboration inside of collaboration, he has so many people working under him, and I wonder how he has managed to do so much. I have Rahul from India, who has been dealing with different languages and is struggling with not only infodemic situation, but also hate speech. And I have my dear friend, Jules Darmanin, who has the lucky situation of being in Paris and working with me in order to develop all the products that I have mentioned before. So I will have the pleasure to be talking with them and getting questions from you. And welcome to this panel again. And I will start with Summer, my wonderful friend from Taiwan. Welcome, Summer.
Hi, Christina. Hi, everyone. Good evening from Taiwan FactCheck Center. I'm glad to be the first speakers, and I like to tell the inside story about CoronaVirus Alliance. Please show my slide. Okay. I think CoronaVirusFacts Alliance is just like the global defense line of infodemic. And you can check the map. Taiwan FactCheck Center is in the frontier. And next, please. So the Alliance did a very great job. And I want to show you what's the beginning of the Alliance. It's an amazing coincidence. On July 21st, we just fight against the disinformation during the president election, and we are going to have the Lunar New Year. It's a long vacation. So, however, we just received a messenger from Cristina, and Cristina wants to know what's going on about the 8 disinformation in China. They are arrested because they spread the information about the unknown disease. And so at that time, we start to write this story. At the time when we published the article, it's just a historical coincidence. China imposed a lockdown in Wuhan. So next, please. So Taiwan FactCheck Center, we advised Cristina the IFCN should take it seriously because the unknown disease may turn out to be a global issue. Why we have those kind of idea? Because the Wuhan is in the center of China. It's the traffic hub. Also, it's the eve of Lunar New Year. And besides that, based on the SARS experience in Taiwan and in China, and also the deep understanding of China politics, so we know it could be a terrible disease, and it could be a very big issue. It's not only the regional issue, it could be a global issue because people will travel around in China and around the world. So we are worried about that. We advised the IFCN should take action and organize the people, organize the community to fight the misinformation about this unknown disease. Next, please. So, I think IFCN and Cristina has very good sense of news. She catch the point, and then he has the IFCN had the advanced deployment. The next day, before after the Wuhan blocked the city, has the lockdown, the IFCN has already sent the email to all the community member, and there are more than 30 members participating at the beginning. Next, please. So I think at that time when the alliance formed, it's even earlier than WHO announced the disease could become a pandemic. It's until the June 30, the WHO announced it is a public health emergency of international concern. So we are earlier, almost 5 days or 1 week earlier. And I think it's a very important experience and a very precious experience for us to participate the alliance, because we are a very small team, but we have very powerful and global support from the IFCN community. And from the June to February, any lab from Hong Kong and the Taiwan FactCheck Center helped other organizations to debunk the misinformation related to China or written by the Chinese character. And from March to May, it's totally upset. We need the help from others. So we get big support from IFCN community. Next, please. So we are so proud to be one part of this community. Because of the alliance, we are have the strong support from the global network. And also, it's not just helping, we share the experience, and also we make progress by working with the top experts from this community. And also we learn the spirit of never give up. So we'd enjoy to work with all of you. Thank you.
You know what I love about Summer? That she's a workaholic just like me. She's awake when I'm awake, and we have a huge time difference. Thank you, Summer, for the work you've been doing since day one of the Coronavirus Alliance, and for the work we've done together since the day we decided to investigate whether those 8 doctors were still being held by the police in Wuhan. And we'll be working on together forever in collaborative projects just like the Coronavirus Facts. Thank you very, very much. And I see Taiwan FactCheck Center will grow from this. Now I'd like to bring Grégoire, my friend, who is also in Paris. I talked about Jules, but you also have this lucky situation that you were in Paris, right?
Hi,
and
Chris, yes.
well, yeah, and Grégoire has this amazing situation that AFP is gigantic. And you are working in it's 6-7 languages, Grégoire. How do you manage to have a collaboration inside the Coronavirus Facts collaboration? And because you've been adding so much content out of those 7,000 hoaxes that we have debunked so far, I would say like more than 400 coming from AFP. How do you manage to do that?
It was tough, but we managed to do it. You can see my gray hair on the screen, but I'm starting to be quite an old reporter. But unlike most of you, I'm a young fact checker, and ever since I started doing it, fact checking, a little over 3 years ago, when I'm tired of seeing false information popping up all the time and everywhere, when you're fed up with being harassed by trolls, you think to yourself, but what's the point? Why am I doing this? I'm sure you've all asked yourselves that question many times, I have no doubt. But with the pandemic and everything that has happened in the last 6 months, I no longer have any doubts. I've never felt that our daily work so useful. We've received so many questions coming from people, from the audience, so many solicitations on all platforms, and we've received so many compliments and positive feedback. Just one figure, our website traffic has increased by 140% compared to last year. At AFP, we are lucky to have quite a lot of fact checkers, as you said, Chris, working in 38 countries on all continents and publishing in 14 languages. And they never felt so useful too. And feeling useful is our natural fuel, our main motivation as fact checkers. AFP has written more than 1,350 fact checks about COVID-19 in all the languages we are publishing on, from January till now. And AFP has published as many fact checks during the first 6 months of 2020 as during the entire of 2019. It's a big deal. And our global network has never been as meaningful and useful as it is with the coronavirus. Everyone benefited from the work and expertise of their colleagues. Usually our fact checkers working, for example, in Thailand, do not necessarily have much connection with those working in the United States or South Africa. But with the COVID-19, with false information jumping from one country to another so quickly, we have never needed each other more. Under normal circumstances, local stories concentrate most of the fact-checking work. But with the coronavirus, everything's changed. Every story, every meme, photo, or video, or quote, or whatever was likely to become viral everywhere, anywhere in the world. So the relationship between all our journalists with about 40 nationalities and as many cultures and different generations and experience has become stronger and better. There was a lot of activity on our common Slack, and what makes me happy, for example, is that never a message went unanswered on our Ask for Help channel. I really like, for example, when we fact-check a viral video in Burma. It was supposed to talk about the health situation in Ecuador, but whereas the video was shot in Germany and had nothing to do with the COVID-19. And our fact-checker in Yangon quickly set the record straight with the help of his colleagues in Sydney, Hong Kong, and Paris. As the COVID-19 reached progressively every continent, having people fluent in Chinese, Italian, or Portuguese was very helpful, as you can imagine, allowing us to respond as quickly as possible to disinformation. And in France, for example, we were able to debunk viral false information very quickly because the work had already been done before by our colleagues in Australia or Colombia, where the hoax had appeared earlier or was detected earlier by our teams. So with so many people working across all the time zones, most of them remotely, as you can imagine, it hasn't always been easy to organize. But I think we managed to do it with only minor bugs from time to time, and for example, 2 people working in the same time on the same debug. And of course, being able to quickly translate stories and adapt them to the local context, because this is very important to adapt them to the local context. Yes, that was extremely valuable to us. And some of our fact checks have been adapted as many as 9 times from the most widely spoken languages in the world, like English, Spanish, or Arabic, to more local languages such as Malay, or Czech, or Slovak. Around COVID-19, it was the fact check stating that I can imagine that almost everyone here has seen it, that gargling warm salt water or vinegar does not prevent coronavirus infection. It is our number 1 of our, let's say, top 3, ahead of an alleged video of the now famous Wuhan market, but which was shot in Indonesia, as well as a rumor claiming that Cristiano Ronaldo was going to convert hotels into hospitals. I told you before that feeling useful was our best fuel, so it seemed even more natural and logical for us to take part in the IFCN's CoronaVirusFacts Alliance. What appeals to AFP in the fact-checking community is that we all pursue the same objective, informing as accurately as possible without scoop hunting or merciless competition. I'm a bit cheesy, excuse me, but that's also what drives an agency like AFP, which was created a long time ago, 188 years ago, but which is perfectly in keeping with all the ideals defended here by the fact-checking community. I'm really happy that AFP was, as you underlined before, Chris, was one of the main contributors to this collaboration. And I hope that many fact-checkers were able, just like us too, of course, to draw useful information from the database, just as researchers will later find it in it a raw material of great interest in order to look back a little more closely at everything that has happened. and unfortunately, which is still happening. And as we at IFP, we have always believed in collaborative projects such as CrossCheck in France 3 years ago, or Comprova in Brazil, or Chequeado in Argentina. We can all be proud to have participated in the largest collaboration of fact-checkers ever organized, thanks to, of course, to the IFCN staff, and thanks to you, Chris, Jules, of course, and also Bebas. Thank you.
Oh, Grégoire, you make me so happy. And you said the word that has been driving me for the last 5 months, being useful. We have so much power. We have so many people. It's great to work together. And I want to ask everyone that is watching us to send questions over YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and those that are participating on our Slack. We have a channel that is hashtag Ask a Question. Our team here, Ferdy, Harrison, Bebas, they are all sending me questions. So please send your questions and we'll get them to Sama, Grégoire. And now we're going to have great Rahul that is going to pop up in our screen soon. Because Rahul has this great story, because India, as you know, has so many IFCN verified members, and is a big, enormous country. And not only they had to fight with COVID-19, but the other day we were talking, Rahul was saying, well, we also had to fight with hate speech. We also had to fight minorities, communities. We also had to fight with false COVID cases. They had conspiracy theories very heavily spread, and media also playing a big role in spreading falsehoods. So please welcome Rahul from FactCrescendo. Hey, Rahul.
Hi, Chris. Hello, everyone. So, speaking about the alliance, there's an old saying that a single arrow can be easily broken, but when it's in a bundle of 10, it becomes very difficult. That is what alliance has done to us. Basically, COVID alliance itself was so important that it became the global became local for us. And as Summer said, we were not, and we are not alone. So just to give a chronology of how things started with coronavirus, it was 31st December 2019 when Wuhan Municipal Corporation, China, reported a cluster of cases of pneumonia, and where they said novel coronavirus was eventually identified. Month of January 2020, there were mostly all the disinfo was coming in from China. People, suddenly collapsing on the streets, China disposing bodies in attempts to control the infection, resorting as a faith, to convert into Islam. And certain theories as COVID-19 is man-made and it escaped the lab, or it leaked in a lab in Wuhan. It was exactly a month later, which was 30th January 2020, when World Health Organization declared COVID-19 as a public health emergency of international concern. This is where the misinfo started flowing in from various parts of the world. Because I believe the panic started spreading. Indian social media was also filled with misinfo about false COVID-19 positive patients and their deaths. There were certain media broadcasters. When I say broadcaster, they are the people who provide news to other news organizations. They misreported on positive patients from different countries, and that again started a thread of misinfo. Beginning of March 20 is when Italy and Spain, we were seeing a lot of misinfo coming from there, saying how doctors and nurses were dying due to the virus, when they were treating people, how high number of patients were left untreated, and conspiracy theory that Italy is trying to kill their senior citizens because, in order to control the population and all. It was only in the month of March when we started seeing misinfo from India. So initially it started with cures, preventions, faith, other things, misinfo relating to it, home remedy. But 20th March is when we started seeing a surge in misinfo. This all started with there was a around 9,000 people have attended an event in Delhi uh, where people from different parts of India had come. There were 960 attendees from 40 foreign countries, and post this, there were 4,000 confirmed cases of COVID-19 related to this event, and there were 27 deaths. This is where a connection between Tablighi Jamaat and COVID-19 started. And as a result, the minorities, Muslims started getting targeted in India. There were a lot of videos, a lot of pictures that started surfacing, spitting on fruits, throwing infected currencies, spitting on handles and gates of people, tampering with food parcels. So lots and lots of them. This was one thing. Then suddenly we saw some of the misinfo coming in from. There was a event that happened where U.S. President Donald Trump, along with Prime Minister of India, they took part in a roadshow in Ahmedabad, which was attended in a stadium. It was attended by lakhs of people, and that event was termed as Namaste Trump. This was on February 24th, and Gujarat, the state where this event was held, on March 20th, they reported their first case of COVID-19. So there were misinfo relating Namaste Trump event to the rise of COVID infections in Gujarat, and we got to see a lot of misinfo regarding that. This was a time when COVID actually had gripped the country, so there was a lot of fear. So there were misinformations about Hindu holy men, starving to death, suffering. Again, misinfo about falsely attributing doctors and nurses that those who were treating COVID patients about their death. Then came nationwide lockdown. And this was a time of distress for migrant laborers who got stuck in various states. And they wanted to go home, and they started walking, cycling, whatever way they could find. They started, walking towards going towards their hometowns, their natives. And this is where the entire spotlight shifted from shifted to suffering of migrant laborers and economic condition due to the lockdown, which was because of COVID-19. So then we started seeing how police tortured citizens, minorities for violating lockdown regulations, and which other fronts where government had failed, false claims related to government, state bodies, claims related to lockdown extension, which were false. Uh, there were so many mock drill videos which surfaced claiming them to be the true incident. There were commercial scams which started coming in, offers about home tests, supposed preventives, and miracle cures. There were clickbaits such as government schemes which were providing food, money, and medicines to COVID-affected people, the poor people. So all these started coming in. There were conspiracy theories. The last what we saw was, COVID is caused by bacteria, and thrombosis is the major cause of death. Bioweapon conspiracy, population control scheme, and probably a spy operation where the virus was being carried out of Wuhan, and suddenly it got spilled over and spread. And finally, it was because the economy was down, so economy is suffering because of COVID. So there were a lot of economical, claims attributed to intellects right from Bollywood celebrities to industries to ex-RBI governors and all. So this is all we've been seeing till now. This is all, so it is not the COVID which came, alone. There were a lot of other things that brought along with that, and this is what we've been doing. This is what kept us busy for the past 3 or 4 months.
Yeah, it's amazing, Rahul, to see something that also became very clear every time I logged in to our spreadsheet, the shared spreadsheet that we've been keeping, to see that there was this moment that the discussion around health and the virus itself went to second place. We started discussing phishing, e-commerce, and we started talking about politicians, and yeah, the health issue became second or maybe third or fourth, right? Thank you very,
Right.
very much, Rahul. You are a great fact checker, and your team did a great job. I want to invite now my dear friend, Jules, who has been putting up with me almost every day, right, Jules? And helping me develop the things that we've been doing. And thanks for being here, my friend. Tell me, what have we done together, and what have you done besides putting up with me?
Thank you. Thank you. So I'm actually not in Paris. I'm in Nice right now, which is arguably better than Paris. So my name is Jules Darmanin, and with Chris, I coordinated the CoronaVirusFacts Alliance project. And I'm going to wrap up this panel with some final thoughts on the project, what we did, and what it says about the power of collaboration and the challenges of covering such a developing and long event. Before working on the Alliance, I helped the IFCN with its FactCheck EU project, which was a collaborative effort on the European parliamentary elections. It had a smaller scale, a smaller footprint on the news cycle, and more importantly, it was anticipated. We had time to prepare. Here, the fascinating thing is that the Alliance is an organic project. Summer exposed it a little bit, but it started as a small idea with 30 organizations, and it really grew up organically. Now we have 99 members, 7,000 fact checks, and a number of spreadsheets I'm slightly ashamed of, I have to say. But I really want to stress that many, many people contributed at times when they were completely drowning in falsehoods circulating in their countries, and in some of them, they were being threatened by authorities. So I want to give a great shout out and thank them very much, because we managed to build a lot of projects thanks to this effort and thanks to the work of everyone. I want to mention two of them, the WhatsApp bot and our research partnerships. The WhatsApp bot, which most of you probably know, and some of you, I hope, tested, is a series we now have launched in English, Spanish, and Hindi. So now I'm gonna plug it. You just need to text hi, hola, or namaste to the +1 727 291 2606, and you can access our database in those languages, along with a search engine and a directory of fact checkers. So if a user wants to check whether eating a raw onion will protect them from the coronavirus, they can just type in onion and they will have access to the relevant debunk article. I really like this product because it's innovative within the constraint of WhatsApp and of a messaging platform, but it's relatively easy to reproduce and to adapt to specific markets, national markets, and use cases. And really, this is only an early attempt at automation. We're only at the beginning, I believe, of the use of conversational agents to help people access fact checks. The other initiative I want to briefly mention is our partnership with researchers. I'm glad that our efforts in indexing the work of so many fact checkers are going to help research on mis and disinformation. I'll be eagerly waiting for the first results of the various reject projects that will stem from this. But for the time being, I want to finish my intervention by sharing my own empirical observations, which are not academic research, but I think are worth saying. And Rahul talked a little bit about it, about the various phases of mis and disinformation in India. I think on a global level, there really were two phases in terms of the circulation of falsehoods around COVID-19. The first phase that followed the surge in cases in each country, in each region, was a bit similar to misinformation surrounding a shooting or any traumatic news event as it's taking place. There's always a second shooter, but it's a second false shooter. The second phase, which started early on, but really is at full speed now, is similar to the theories that appear the day after a shooting. The day when you start hearing about conspiracies, about false flags and psyops. And those two phases can sometimes blend and be much together, but I think they are more distinct than what we might think. In the first phase, you heard about onions, you had about new cases, about rumors of a lockdown tomorrow. And in the second phase, it was all about 5G, Bill Gates, and vaccines. The first phase was mostly misinformation shared by a majority of people, and most of them well-meaning people. The second phase contains much more disinformation targeted to a vocal minority. The first phase was also mostly coming from a sentiment of anxiety and the lack of available information, while the second phase is stemming from distrust and the lack of confidence in institutions. And I think our alliance, as it grew organically, as I said, equipped itself perfectly to tackle the first phase. But I think that we need to keep on working, both this project and also as a community, on differentiating our response to a problem that has so many shapes. And with that, back to you, Chris.
Hey, Jules, thank you very, very much. And let me just stay with you a bit because I have a question for you, and then we go back to all other panelists with questions that I'm getting from people on the different channels that are watching us. I wanted to hear from you. We saw a bunch of falsehoods that were globally spread and some that were super local. So would you mind telling us, like, what struck you as a global? I know you talked about 5G. I know you talked about Bill Gates, but can you tell us, like, how did people got those global hoaxes and turn them into super local? How did they adjust to the culture? Are you able to tell us a little bit about that local flavor and how does that show up in our database?
So I think there's two things. One is that as Rahul said, in India there was a lot of falsehoods around the Hindi and Muslim communities, and those falsehoods were used to really point fingers at each other. In other countries, of course, there was more politics involved, but my favorite example is the hoax about helicopters, because it's both a very local hoax and also a global hoax. So it started as something in Italy, presumably, a WhatsApp chain message claiming that 5 helicopters would be spraying pesticides or any sort of chemical, and that you ought to shut down your windows and get your laundry in. And this started in one city in Italy, and then it's only something that can work in a specific city. It's like attention to New York residents, attention to Madrid residents. And it turns out that this local hoax spread in literally dozens of countries, and in most of them, the same number of helicopters. So it really gives an idea of the power of just sharing and what I was mentioning, this first phase in which a lot of people really wanted to give out as much information as possible to their friends and their family and their loved ones. And it's not necessarily people who tend to share false information. It's just people who are extremely anxious and just need to think that by sharing everything, well, what harm can it cause? So that's pretty much my favorite example.
Yeah, I love one. Let me share this with the public because this is my favorite. Like the false cures, how the local flavor pops up very badly in that kind of falsehoods. In India, you would hear that you should drink cow urine. In France, this would be in France this would be cheese. And then in Spain it would be garlic, and in Taiwan it would be tea, and in Argentina it would be tea with lemon, and in Brazil it would be jambu. It's a special fruit from the Amazon. So I mean, it doesn't matter where you are, but there is a fake cure specific for your country. That's very amazing. Thanks, Jules. I'll get back to you in case there's a question for you. Hey, Rahul, I wanted to hear from you now. There's an interesting question that comes from YouTube. Mercedes from YouTube. She's asking a question that is $1 million question. And if you have the answer, then, man, you're rich. What do you think drives the inventors of all those falsehoods behind COVID-19? And I think if you have the answer, CIA will look for you.
Okay. See, one that we have seen, probably this is for the social users, the inventors of misinfo or disinfo. We have seen gives them a lot of traction on their post, and that is a kind of they kind of feel it's a feel good factor for them, we believe, and that is how the disinfo or misinfo travels. So if someone has a very strong belief in an alternate medicine or or a cure which he believes could prevent or cure COVID, starts posting it, and then there are people who just tag along, and it becomes that's how it gets viral. So that is for the inventors. Some of the misinfo that we see in India. So Indian perspective, if we are talking about misinfo, which was related to minorities and all, so it's basically we could say ideology or something. So if I believe in one ideology, if something is put up against someone, all I'm going to do is I'm going to tag along. I'm just going to spread it across platforms, because that is how I'm showing the other person in a bad light. So this is there are inventors, and then there are distributors. That is how it's a very simple process that social media works on. So that is my understanding to it.
Grégoire, I see your face as if you could add something on it. What drives the inventors? Why does people come up with so many falsehoods about a health issue? What do they get from it?
So as Rahul pointed out, there's a there are less and less confidence in institutions, in media, in politics. So when you have such a global crisis, if you want to push your if you're against the government, if you're from the far right, for example, if you want to push your rhetoric, if you want to push your ideas, it's really the best moment to do it. So we've seen, for example, so many things pushed, and I'm going not to talk globally because I cannot see and read everything. But for example, in France, we've seen so many falsehoods pushed by the far right. By example, because what the far right, what it is to say, okay, the government is not doing well things, the institutions are not doing well things, and for example, if you are, it's not only the far right, of course, but if you want to spread an anti-vax rhetoric, you just have to also to say, oh, look at the WHO, they've changed their position from the beginning, for example, for the masks. So how can you believe them, and how can you believe people that will soon promote vaccine and all the things behind that? So I think unfortunately this global crisis, which is still ongoing, because in Europe it looks like the end, but I don't think it's the same in other parts of the world, unfortunately. But it's really, if you want to push this information, I think it's the best. It's unfortunately the best moment to do it, because everyone is a bit at the beginning with the first lockdowns, with so many people infected and touched by the disease. There was like an amazement. So when you're amazed, you must. There is some fear. So maybe you're going to share without checking anything or whatever. So I think this is the problem. This is when you have such a crisis. It's like so easy to push disinformation, because everyone is amazed, and everyone is fearing the future.
Right. Sama, one for you.
Yes.
I have one here from Alice from Corrective. She's asking, well, actually it could be for anyone, but she's asking if any of the speakers have actually find out if who invented certain hoax regarding a false cure. I know you did a beautiful work putting images with different falsehoods regarding false cures, and you even published that in many social media formats. The tea, the garlic, and the soup, and the bat, and right? Did you ever come up with the answer about who created those falsehoods? Were you able to find out who was the first to publish that in Taiwan?
We don't know who, but we think it positive. I think because the coronavirus and the COVID-19 is an unknown disease, so people are deserve to know every knowledge about them, about the virus, and about how to prevent their family, how to protect their family. So I think, but however, there is a knowledge gap. It's between the public and the experts. Whenever the experts, including the officials and the medical experts, to explain what's going on or to show the knowledge, actually people may not catch the point, because maybe their language is more serious, is academic language, or maybe the way they express the knowledge is too formal, and the ordinary people can catch it. So I think the misinformation is just like a test or an examination for people to understand if the people can catch the real knowledge. For example, the rumor will say COVID-19 is afraid of high heat. It can live in high heat. So the rumor will say you need to drink hot water, or you need to turn on the heat, then the virus will die. Otherwise, you need to go to have the hot spring, then it will prevent you having the coronavirus. So whenever we debug the rumors, then it helps the public to catch the real knowledge to understand more. I think it's a pretty good way to, when we debug it, when people read the fact checks, they will know something new, or they will know more about the true knowledge. So I think it's the best. It's the most challenge for all the fact checkers, but also it's the best moment to do the fact checking, or to do the media literacy. So I think although it's a challenge, but it's also a good opportunity for all the fact checkers and for the public. So I think we need to think it positive.
Chris,
I totally agree. Yeah.
If I can chime in,
Go,
Jules.
Jules, please.
Yeah, I think in terms of cures, there is definitely different types of false cure hoaxes. You have things like tea and lemon and garlic that tend to come from, common knowledge about the purported or not properties of certain foods. And for instance, in South Asia, nigella seeds that actually have medicinal properties were claimed to cure COVID-19. And so it's just something that comes from some sort of popular knowledge and then blows out of proportion. But there's also other cases, for instance, MMS, which is the mineral medical solution, or something like that, which is actually toxic and dangerous, but is sold as a miracle cure, and I think was created, quote unquote, by a former Scientologist. And in this case, it really comes from a logic of profit and really financial motive. So it really depends on what kind of type of cure you're looking at.
And my personal take on this, if I may, as being a moderator, is first is that I think we are all very used to do political fact checking, and we are very used to having people, when producing falsehoods, trying to fool somebody or try to get a vote or try to push an ideology. But this time during the alliance, I sort of saw falsehoods that were actually trying to protect, trying to do good, trying to keep the ones that we love and we care about in good shape and healthy. So that's really something new for fact checkers, and I wanted to leave it this way. And we have a few minutes left, and I wanted to ask very quickly from all of you 2 quick questions. First, what did not work? So what we didn't do well, and very quickly. And then what is the next step for the alliance in your opinion? So let's start with who was the last one to say? I think Rahul. Let's start with Rahul. Very fast, Rahul.
Okay. See, as of nothing, there's nothing that didn't work, because as a single, unit fact checker, it was alliance that got us, got us global, and it was the association was such successful, because it was so easy getting in touch with fellow people from across the world, and together working on stories. What next? Yes, that's a very good question, valid question, and we think the alliance should continue. We should identify certain certain things which are universal, which are there across countries, and try building databases for them, try building community for them, as in community database for them, so that could help people in that could help general people. So
We have 5 minutes. Grégoire.
Yes, as Rahul said, I don't think that there are things that did not work, but I think that it's now becoming maybe more and more difficult to debunk and to fact check. As Jules said before, I think it was easier to debunk during the first phase, with false cure and remedies, with onion, garlic, or hot water. And now we're seeing more and more conspiracy theories. We are seeing the movie like a pandemic, and I think it's really difficult to debunk that kind of claims, because they're mixing a lot of things, and there are things that you cannot fact check, for example. So I think it's getting tougher to debunk all the stuff circulating about COVID-19. Next step, yes, we want to continue. That was unique, and we need to find a way to continue it. Maybe we cannot repeat this for every major breaking news or global crisis we will have in the future, but that really shows us that we are able to, as Jules said too, that we can do it very from scratch, and that was really great to choose the heat. I hope that it's going to be something really useful for academics and researchers, and I really like to see more about this in the coming future, because maybe our frustration is we want to know more about what we've done collectively, and I really think that we need to go further together with the fact-checking community. Yeah.
Summer. 1 minute.
Yes. Okay, I think the next step is we can get the very precious experience from this time, and we can collaborate for the next topic. And I think we can do better next time when we organize and work together. We can in an efficient way, and also we will know how we collaborate with each other. And also I think it's a very strong base that we build this time, and a very strong friendship we build this time for the next topic.
Thank you. I totally agree with the friendship that you just said. Jules, please close.
Yeah, I said it a little bit in my intervention, in the fact that it's always harder to fight the second phase of mis and disinformation that's more related to more conspiratorial. And I think there's always some room for improvement on fighting that. The next step is probably transferring what we know to other potential crises that we can expect, and one that I would definitely expect is and that's going to be much longer, is around climate. And I think that in the same way that some fact-checking organizations had to really step up their game in terms of health fact-checking, now we're going to have a lot of science fact-checking around climate change that also is going to have political and economic repercussions, and I think that working on that would be very interesting.
Oh, you can't imagine how I love that idea already. Get ready for some emails and some Slack, people. I'm going to be there. So I just wanted to say that I totally agree with you. I really appreciate that you've been around for this panel. I want to thank again all the 99 organizations that have been collaborating with the CoronaVirus Alliance. And I want to thank again the IFCN team. I want to thank the Poynter Institute for holding us here and for having this great Global Fact event. I want to thank Baybars for putting all these people together, and Stage 10, all the technicians that are behind this thing. This being amazing opportunity, and I hope you have a wonderful day and keep with us. We are still live on globalfact7.com, and please keep following us on our social media. Hashtag GlobalFact7. Wonderful kiss for Summer, Grégoire, Rahul, and Jules. Love you. Bye-bye.